Yeah. We're here again. Catching us on the 9 to 5. Now it's on the shift. Today I'm with my brother KK. What you saying, brother?
I'm nice, my dog. How you doing?
I'm good.
Alright,
You see, I didn't even want to disturb your work process because you're doing very important things.
No, I am. Always, my brother.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what, let me mic you up in situ. We'll have this conversation in situ. Tell us what you do, bro.
Jeez, man. I think I'm just a creative. It's very difficult to boil it down to one thing. Man, I just love telling stories. And how I do that is dependent on the day and how the sun rises up that day.
Okay.
So,
How do you prefer the sun to rise, sir?
in the east. But I'm joking. Nah, I prefer the sun to rise in editing. Editing is my first love. Post-production, actually, across board. And yeah, I think post-production is a great responsibility because I think you're the one who decides how this thing turns out. So no matter how horribly it was shot or no matter how great it was shot, all of those things start to matter less once you're in post-production. You know, it's just about how you put it together at the end of the day.
When I met you, you were studying, yeah?
No. I graduated varsity in 2017, 18.
You graduated varsity, that's when I was going to varsity.
Yeah. No, don't. It's a regular skincare routine, praising. It's a regular skincare routine.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. No, I thought when I met you, you were still studying because I was going to ask you some questions about like kind of postgraduate, but that's fine.
I didn't do postgrad.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool. You were about to drop some interesting bars. Wait, first, before I ask that question, what's your journey been like navigating, like the industry, quote unquote, and like your innate creative calling? So there's the part where you're born with this ability, and then there's the part where you put yourself into situations and spaces to sort of make a living or whatever the case may be.
Look, to say I was born into this is a bit of a stretch for me. I really do think that it's that whole notion of anything you put your mind to. I know it's a cliche, but that's really what it is at the end of the day. I didn't grow up. I decided I was going to study film in the January of the year I started university. So it's not a long dream that I've had my entire life. I really think that there's a job for everything, and I think it's important for people to just realize what their interests are and see what correlates with that. So I'm a problem solver. So that's why editing makes sense for me, because I solve problems. So I was always great with maths. I was great with accounting. I mean, I did accounting, physics, pure maths. Those are the subjects I did in high school. So that tells you that I had no idea when it comes to that. So to say I was born into it is a stretch. But to answer your question further, I would say that one of my favorite quotes that I sort of bumped into in recent years is Timothy Chalamet, and he says, you can be the master of your fate or you can be the captain of your soul, but you need to realize that life is coming from you and not at you, and that takes time. And I think when I think about that, it allows you to realize why you're doing what you're doing in that moment. So when you're doing work that you don't really want to do, you know that it's for your bank. You know what I'm saying? And you do it accordingly. When you're doing work that feeds your soul, or you tell stories, or you know it, and that effort shows. At the end of the day, you have bills to pay. At the end of the day, you have things and responsibilities. But I think the sweet spot is being able to decide what you want to do with your time. I think that's the ultimate goal, is having the luxury of being able to say that I actually don't want to spend my time on this.
Yeah, that's fire. So speaking on spending your time on this, I think the process, that's like the accumulative nature of people, and maybe I'm speaking from my own view, but the accumulative nature of people is to kind of gather things that prove what they're doing or how much their back is. What's your view on I guess spending culture, capitalism, especially for us niggas who our ability to spend kind of relates to our status and that kind of
I think it's just what it comes down to, man, is like you always feeding the inner child in you. That's ultimately what it boils down to. And I think when you address that little child, I think these things start to matter less and less. If you don't address that little child, I think you'll always have that thing. I'm not saying I'm not for capitalism. I think capitalism, I do believe I am a capitalist myself in terms of my mentality. I think the difference is the value of things. I think I find value in how I look, but how I look doesn't have to cost me an arm and a leg. Do you know what I'm saying? How I look doesn't have to cost me an arm and a leg. And I think because of that, you can't buy style. That's why you can see that bro rocked in Louis head to toe, but doesn't combine, doesn't come together. No, it doesn't a lot of the time. That's what money gets you. Money just gets you the things. But you can't buy style. I think style is a very big part of your identity. I think you choose that. And even with like cars or, things like that. Look, I'm not going to say that if I were to have the obscene amounts of money, I won't be ignorant enough to say that I wouldn't buy that nice car one day, but I don't think it's what I'm working towards.
In the words of a wise poet, you can have money, you can never buy taste.
I don't think it's what I'm working towards anymore. I think I'm working more towards time. I think I wanna have time, bro. I think I wanna have time with my family. I want to have time with my wife one day, whoever that may be. I want to have time with my kids one day, and that's what I want to buy. I want to buy time for myself to be able to decide that, do I want to go to this meeting today? And that, to me, is more valuable than any car, any house, any designer item.
That's real. If you have to send a message to your future self, what would you say, bro?
To my future self?
Yeah.
Jeez. I don't know. I've always looked at that question as my past self. I've never looked at it from my future self. I hope you figured it out. I think the message would be, I hope you figured it out. I think I'm in a very conflicting time in my life, and it's not conflicting because of work or money or anything. I think it's just conflicting because of the journey of discovering yourself is never ending. So I think the minute you feel like you know yourself and you know who you are, your interests change again, or the stuff you watch changes again, how you dress changes again. I've got tattoos on my body that I don't regret per se, because they tell a story of the time that I got them. But I don't think I would get that tattoo as me now, if that makes sense. Like, I love them. I still love them to this day. But I don't think I would get that tattoo of me now. I wouldn't get that tattoo on me now. So it's things like that where, yeah.
You already figured it out.
Yeah, I hope future me figured it out. I hope he figured out who he is at whichever period in the future it is, because he may also be changing. But I hope at any given point in that future, I hope the thing that he sits with is realizing that his presence and his time is a blessing to all of those that he chooses to spend it with. Thank you, sir.
Always make pictures.